There's so much power on tap in this thing. Your body has no choice but to respond. If you're a person that's looking for a small sauna and you're worried that it's not going to make you sweat, this will change your mind. 36 inches deep and 31 inches wide. How tall are we? It's shorter than us. 68 inches tall. 31 by 36 by 68? Is that right? Okay. The door opening itself is how much? 22 and a half, almost 23. I mean, this is tight. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's nowhere for me to go. This is super cool. So if you wanted to put it up against a side, like if you wanted to point this in a dead space, you still kind of have some visual expansion to the right. And then you can also have two methods of venting without cracking the door, which is pretty cool. And in this sauna, sometimes you need it. I'm not wearing the microphone. There's a weird resonance in here. Kind of sounds like, do you hear it? It's not. Hi, I'm Matt. I've owned 30 plus saunas. I test them out so you don't have to. All this week, we've been testing out the Heavenly Heat. It's Heavenly Heat Week. Aaron's choice. Today, we're finally answering the question, how does this thing even work? Do I fit in it? Am I comfortable? Does it heat up well? Do I get a good sweat? What's the verdict? I'm a bigger guy. I do fit fine in here. Part of me does. The ceiling height doesn't bother me at all, actually. I can easily get in and out, and I'm comfortable like this. So a lot of people ask, obviously you can't stand up in this or anything like that. Last night I put an exercise bike in here and I could almost fit my head. It was just a little experiment to see how could you truly modify this if you had a small apartment, you wanted to have a biohacking studio with vibration plate, red light therapy, you want to do the firefighter detox inside of a sauna. Could we actually make that work with something like this? Take the bench out, et cetera, et cetera. The sauna worked really well with the bench heater unplugged too, by the way. Didn't affect the operation of it at all. So if you wanted to modify this or have a different seating position in here, I don't know if it's something that they recommend, but you could definitely do it because I tried it. So for size, if you're a person that's looking for a small sauna, I don't see any other small sauna that we've used so far potentially working any better than this. Let's talk about heat coverage for a second, because if you've seen any of my videos, I harp on this and harp on this and harp on this. Why? Because it makes or breaks your sauna experience. You see reviews from people out there that say they've tried an infrared sauna and they had a great experience or they had a terrible experience and everything in between. Why is that? A lot of it boils down to heat coverage in the sauna, and people don't realize this. Infrared saunas are not created equal, right? The reliance on radiant heat to heat your tissues does not just rely on convection like in a traditional sauna. So you have some convection in the sauna, and I would argue in a small sauna like this, you actually have more convection, right? It's a small space. The cubic footage is very small. The heater coverage is very, very good. It gets hot incredibly quickly, probably faster than most other small saunas on the market. That said, I want to talk to you about a couple things that are usually hiccups for me. If you look down at the floor, there's no floor heaters in this thing. That's usually a no-no for me. I don't like that. I complain about it all the time. I like an even heat distribution all around my body so that I don't have any cold spots or hot spots or anything like that. This sauna, I think, gets away with it just fine because, one, the side heaters and the leg heaters go all the way to the floor, right? There's not a 6-inch gap between the floor and those. And two, there's so much heat accumulation that builds in this small cubic footage of a cabin that it just accelerates saturating the body in heat accumulation from both convection and infrared. So I feel like I don't notice, my feet or my lower extremities or anything like that as much. And also the top is just extremely intense. It builds temperature. A lot of people would say, how does the sauna get to 165? It gets to 165 and you have to open the door or open the roof vent or crack the window in order to keep it at 165, or else it just shuts the heaters off and it continues to go down. I think they may actually have a modification where you could increase the temperature to 180. If that's the case, this would be the first infrared sauna of its kind to deliver a temperature in this range. Part of it is the way that the thermostat is programmed. And the other thing is where the heat sensor for the thermostat control is located, right? It is in the top of the sauna. It is at the highest point. But this sauna, like I keep saying, the cubic footage is so small. There's so much power on tap in this thing. Your body has no choice but to respond. If you're a person that's looking for a small sauna and you're worried that it's not going to make you sweat, this will change your mind. The heat coverage leads us to our last point, which is heat up times. A lot of times people are crazy busy. They don't want to wait for a big sauna, to heat up. It's nice to bring the whole family in and things, but everyone has different needs. And so folks that are looking for a small sauna usually want to put it in a small space. Generally, they live, a busy life. And I got to tell you, the heat up time in this is almost non-existent. I don't want to say it's zero because you do want some heat accumulation before you get in. But you could heat this thing up for 10 minutes and then hop in and you're good to go. There's no need for hour-long preheats. We have video proof of this from me using it in a nightly session. I'll show it to you on the screen if we can. It gets to 151 degrees in just over 26 minutes. So for those of you that are looking for something that preheats fast, guaranteed to work, even if it's 70 degrees or whatever, this guy puts out a tremendous amount of heat. And thank you to Colin, because he has been watching and listening and paying attention to customers for over a year. And he's the first person to come along to actually build something that they wanted just by listening to people's input and observing all this crazy stuff that we've been putting out over the years. Most other companies, just kind of smile and nod and, say thank you, but they don't actually take that information from the customers and the feedback, from people that are using these things and go build something that they want, or go build something better, go build something that works, better than their current lineup. So kudos to these guys, kudos to Colin, kudos to Heavenly Heat. They're one of the first companies in the last 5 years to come along and really look at what people want and then go and build it for them.
What are two things that really stood out about this sauna? It could be, the quality of something, or it could be the design of something that really showed you, man, they've thought about the customer when they were building this, and beyond that, they've really delivered something different.
I think I would actually like to get your input here after I tell you mine, because you helped me unbox this. You helped me film the assembly video, and you helped me carry some of the pieces. And I think it's not uncalibrated of me to say both of us looked at each other when we picked up the walls and we were like, wow, this is an improvement. This is an improvement in build quality. This is noticeably different than every other sauna that we've unboxed. This is noticeably different than maybe even the first iterations of the new Heavenly Heat, right? They're continuing to improve, continuing to refine the build quality. One of the cool things that we saw was how rigid and how strong the construction of these walls are. I think these walls weigh more than a two-person wall, if I'm not mistaken. But I'd like to hear from you what you thought. We took it out of the box. We carried it.
I have a mic, guys. I know that you're always about not being biased and stuff. And I'm not biased to the sauna, but these are the heaviest walls on a sauna I've ever picked up in my life. Like the density of the heaters, the density of the walls, the density of the door, the glass is thicker. Yeah. It weighed as much as the back wall or the side walls on your two-person Radiant. E 2 point whatever. Here, you can have this back. I don't want this.
Yeah, what Aaron was saying is this tiny little wall weighed, if not more, just as much as a 2 or a 3-person sauna. And it's not limited to just one brand. We've put several larger saunas together, and different brands. Yeah, there's a difference in build quality, the way they build the wall construction, but nothing has quite been like this that's this small. This thing is built like a tank. The control panel is much improved. The control panel is sleek. It's still a little dusty. I got some stuff on there, but it works great. Whoops. It works great, and it's simple to use. The improvements in the way that the door works, the glass, the nice touch of having a side window, all this stuff is just absolutely fantastic. Door handle is solid. Door magnets are solid, like little things, little attention to details that have really been improved. I'm impressed. I don't know if I would prefer the 1-person. Aaron was asking me that. Should we compare this to the 1-person? What do you guys think? If we had a comparison video next week, put it in the comments and tell us what you'd like to see. Would you like us to compare this to a Heavenly Heat 1-person? Do you want to see what this is like versus another brand and a 2-person? Is it important to you? Like if I jam myself up against one sidewall, you see how much room is left. Is it important to you to have an extra foot here so that you can turn, like I'm too big to turn sideways in this thing. I can't put my feet up or my knees up. This is not intended for that. I think if you were like 5'5" or 5'6", or you're a female who's tiny, you probably could. You probably even love it. I'm not sure.
So if you had to choose between this one and the one person, what are you choosing and why?
Man, it's hard for me not to love the performance of this thing. Every ounce of me wants every sauna that I ever get in to perform like this. I would say if you're a small person, it's like we talked about. I think you would love this. I think you should get this. It's easy to tuck it into any space. I mean, we have it. We have it in a closet. I mean, granted, this is a big closet, but I mean, we want to test out real world options. We want to see what is it like. Most people live in townhomes, condos, apartments, all this stuff. Not everybody has a gigantic basement with, a 5,000 square foot house and all this stuff. I think for me, I might be personally a little bit happier in the one person size just because I do have a little bit more room on my shoulders. I think we nailed it already. If you're a small person, I think you're going to love this sauna. You'd be hard pressed to find something that works better than this if you don't mind, the size of it. If you're a person that's bigger than me, you probably want, like if you're 6'5", 250, you probably need a one person. You can still fit in one. I think this might be a little tight for you. You could do it. You can get in here for sure. And it's going to work really well for you. But if your shoulders are any broader than mine, I think you might have a little bit of a tough time. I also think you might want to stretch your legs out in a different fashion, and you just can't do that in here. So like anything, there's always pros and cons. But man, I got to tell you, these guys at Heavenly Heat, Colin, they have nailed it with this sauna. This mini, I'm impressed. I'm beyond impressed. It works so well. You are going to sweat your tail off in this thing.